Hi everyone, it's Cliff here for YC Test Drive. Thank you so much for those that are following YC Test Drive. Where do I find myself today? Look at the green. I am actually with Ralph. For those that have been following YC Test Drive, they will know who Ralph is. I'm with Ralph. Do not ask me where I come from at this moment. But I'm just here at the border between Namibia and Botswana at Ngoma border post. Of all these years, there's a place I've missed quite a lot. Mbalasinte is the place where I grew up. It's a couple of kilometers away from here at the border. And I thought I can make a detour and go to Mbalasinte with Ralph. So I want to go to Mbalasinte and show you where I grew up. Show you a little bit of activities that I used to do, especially fishing. I will then discuss with my grandfather. He will tell you how he was attacked by a lion some years back when I was still young. I still remember that incident. I'll do an interview with him so that he explains to us what he remembers of the encounter. So let's get going so we get there on time.
First of all, let me quickly give big thanks to Nature Wheels Car Hire, a Namibian car rental company specialized in renting out VW Amaroks. Check out their website, see and download the fact sheets. Check out the sample of contracts. They have one of the best terms and conditions I've ever seen in the country. See the kind of cars they have. They have different kind of VW Amaroks, some converted. If you want to go in a big group or go with a family, Nature Wheels has it all. You can see and check. They are registered with TAZA and Namibian Tourism Board. See their contact details if you want to contact them and drive with an Amarok. Republic of Namibia, Zambezi region. So from Ngoma, one drives a little bit, couple of, just a few kilometers in the direction of Katimamulilo. There's a turn off here. That's where I then turn off, go in a gravel road. Gravel road right here. This gravel road leads to a village called Nakavolelwa, a village where the Kabe South constituency officers are. The officers that are responsible for this kind of development, such as road infrastructures. Just watch and see the change of vegetation as we move eastward. The roads changes after Nakavolelwa. As one reaches Ihaha, the environment changes. The vegetation and tall trees disappears. The green grass and the open fields appears. This is a different environment. This is what we call the flood-prone area, Kuchana. Let me take you into Kabulabula Conservancy, where I come from. Kabulabula Conservancy was established in 2011, comprises of 22 villages, employing over 22 locals. Ivilivins being the first and one of the biggest village within the Kabulabula Conservancy. This village is situated on the banks of the Ikava tributary. I remember this place here. When I was young, we used to bring our cattle for vaccination. Selling of livestock used to take place right here. One of the visible development in Kabulabula area is the electricity connection. The councillor's offices within the Kabe South seems to be hard at work. Villages within Kabulabula Conservancy have benefited greatly since it was established. Through water supply, employment and sharing of food resources such as game meat. After a wrong turn, it was time to reverse and take the right turn. Let me share a little bit about the villages and their names in this area. You see, village names here are mostly driven from trees and events. Like Nanzala is a name of a woman. Chiwonzo is named after some acacia shrubs that used to be found in this area. Some wild berries called mundundu used to be eaten around here. Back then, a man known as the bus boy used to have some fishing camps around this area during flood times. Now, going back to Nanzala, an interesting story how this village was named. Nanzala means the mother of hunger. Long ago, a girl called Nanzala and her parents capsized in a mukolo in this area. Unfortunately, Nanzala and her mother drowned in the ordeal. Her father survived and he was rescued, found hanging on a small tree with a container of traditional beer. During flood time, this place will be covered with flood water like an ocean. In some area, water will be as deep as more than 2 meters. It becomes dangerous during that time of the year because the means of transport is the Mokolo. A number of people have capsized and drowned in the Mokolo because during that time there is some high winds. It's my first time driving with a VW Amaroks in these roads, and it's quite impressive how comfortable this car is in such kind of roads. The tire pressure is just perfect. The technology on this machine, I've traveled with Ralph many kilometers. This car is impressive. Can you see a dog chasing behind the car? It's very common in my area. Dogs like chasing cars and I don't understand why. Driving alongside the Chobe River. It's fortunate because Kabulabula Conservancy is bordering the Chobe National Park, benefiting from a number of animals that comes from the national park. Although this benefit also comes at a cost. Human-wildlife conflict is common in this area. Just recently, an injured and agitated hippo has been terrorizing community in this area, chasing people around. A small tributary called Chelongwe stretches from the Chobe River. I remember very well when I was young, it used to be tricky crossing this area during flood time, pushing the cattle to the highlands. The water used to be gushing from the Chobe River into the plains of the Kabulabula Conservancy. Kabulabula village visible from a distance, a village where the Conservancy is named after. This is one of the oldest villages in the area. The school Mbalasinte started from this village. Our first traditional authority house in the area called Kuta started from this village, a village of farmers and fishermen. Kavimba village named after a tree we call Muvimba in my language, common in this area. This village I remember very well. We used to come and watch soccer on TV in this village. This village was known of hosting Christmas parties that we called Chipangaodi. I remember when I was young, there was a young gentleman called Minu who used to be a good dancer from this village. This village is called Kavula, aka Kavula Kasiwa. A village that is named after a tree we call Ivula in my language. I remember of an incident in the early 90s when lightning struck a house and burned it to ashes. People believed rain buried eggs. Savelo village, meaning a refuge village. This village was part of my village Machava. That means everyone in this village is my relative. Have you realized that all these villages are built alongside the Chobe River? That's because most people here are fishermen and farmers, and water is the source of life in this area. Finally arriving at Machava village, my village where I come from, my village where I grew up. A village named after a tree called Mochava. Mochava is a fig tree. It's the only tree that I know of so far in English. When I was young, there used to be 3 big fig trees in this village. They used to attract a lot of elephants. Today, there's only 1 fig tree that still remains. Have you noticed that our kraal cattle posts are close to the villages? That's because we try to protect them from predators like lions, which are very common in this area. From my village, a small village called Kayenge is visible just around the corner, named after a tree called Muyenge. Thank you for watching until this far, the first episode of my village trip. I hope you enjoyed it. Next time on YC Test Drive,
I'm struggling to milk really. It's been a while.
I catch a fish on the banks of the Chobe River during our fishing activity and we eat it for dinner. Elephants are always a usual sight on the banks of the Chobe National Parks and the Chobe River. I will then show you the school where I started grade 1.
Oh, I remember.
Join me next time on YC Test Drive on our village episode trip, where I will take you around a tour on my school. Subscribe to YC Test Drive, share and comment. See you next time. Thank you for watching.